Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're all having a great day. Well, today we're going to look at something interesting. We're going to look at how Harry has become a puppet for the left agenda and possibly even a secret agent man. How does this happen? Does the left do these non-governmental agency think tank kind of places really drive political agenda, social agenda, governmental agenda? Do they really recruit prominent people to do their bidding? What happens to the PATSYs when they're done with them? We're going to look at all of this today. One thing that we all know about, Harry is affiliated with the Aspen Institute. And they've been around for decades, and they've been well known as a left-leaning think tank driving social agendas that ultimately are working to erode our rights. Absolutely. They've been at it a long time. Think of other organizations that kind of do the same thing. We've all heard of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. His vision of the world is you'll have nothing and you will love it. He wants to tear everything down and bring things back to a feudal state. And you know what? He's got a lot of politicians behind him. Just whatever country that you live in, just do a little search and find out which of your politicians are actually members of the World Economic Forum. And then do a little search on Klaus Schwab. See what kind of a guy he is. It'll leave you shaking in your boots. These are the people that are driving policy, and their sick vision of what they want your future to be is what's on the agenda. So how'd Harry get mixed up in this? Well, he's a prominent figure. He moved to the States. He was kind of the belle of the ball for a little while there. Everybody wanted a piece of Harry because royalty, you know, it's a novelty. Plus, agenda-driven organizations would know that his father and his brother, indeed the royal family going back to Prince Philip, have been involved in so-called ecological issues, saving the animals, saving the planet, this kind of thing. And it's always the case of no matter how benevolent one of these programs looks, there's always an evil agenda behind it. And you know, I sound like a crazy person, but it's true. And you'll soon realize it yourself. And once you see these things, you can't unsee them. And then you realize what's really going on in the world. And it's frightening. And that's why we have to talk about these things. So back to Prince Harry. He wants to save the planet, sent to Bali. He's working with his wounded warriors. He's an easy target. He's rich, well known. He'll put bums on seats. And he's not that smart. He's easily drawn in. Think of it. He's been a guy that his whole life, everyone around him has just said yes. So these organizations like the Aspen Institute court him. Harry, you're thinking exactly what we would love to bring you on board, man. We would love to hear what you have to say. And somebody of your stature, the clout that that would bring to our organization, they sweet talked him. And who knows how much money they're paying the guy. But what Harry doesn't realize is they're bringing him in as a patsy. He's a useful idiot to him. He's not smart, guys. He's not smart. They didn't bring him in for his intelligence, for his sage advice, vision of the future. They brought him in because he had a name that was identifiable. And people want to be associated with royalty. They do. That whole 15 minutes of fame thing. So here's Harry caught up in this kind of thing. Now, we could say, well, naive Harry, evil Aspen Institute, it doesn't go any further than that, does it? It just, it's not ideal, but it's not dangerous. Well, what you discover when you look at any socially driven movement, whether it be women's lib, and the face of that was Gloria Steinem, whether you look at the drug revolution in the 60s, who do you look at? Timothy Leary. If you look at the music revolution, the hippies, Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, the Valley, the Canyon in California in the 60s, and you look at people like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, you look at the Doors. Yeah. You look at bands like that. These are the front people of these movements. Did you know every one of those people I just mentioned were involved with the CIA? Gloria Steinem has admitted herself that she was an agent because she had to, because it came out. And once you work for them, you never kind of stop. Here's a good one for you. Fun one to investigate. Jim Morrison of the Doors. He was just a kid on the beach. His dad was in the Navy, as you will find. Surprisingly, every musician that came out of California at that time had one thing in common. One of their parents, if not both, all worked for the government at the time. In fact, Jim Morrison's father, Colonel Morrison, was the captain of the ship involved in the Gulf of Tonkin false flag. If you don't know about the Gulf of Tonkin, that's another thing for you to look up and research. Not only was his father, a member of the government, a member of the Navy, he was involved in some very shady things sponsored by the government to push an agenda. Every single rock star coming out of California in the 60s that you can name had a government connection. Timothy Leary tune in, turn on, drop out, the drug revolution, LSD. Somehow, somehow, man, he was able to, this university professor that was doing LSD, somehow he was able to jump on a bus with a bunch of his friends with just boxes, boxes, and hundreds of doses, thousands of doses of LSD, and, just distribute them at universities across the country, give lectures. Why wasn't he arrested? Was the whole hippie movement LSD, tune in, turn on, drop out? We were under the impression it was just a grassroots. All the teenagers woke up one day and just went crazy and it changed society forever. No, no. The decade was a psyop. The decade was a government-run agenda. When you discover these things, what you see nowadays is just like, oh, well, obviously, we know what's going on. Obviously, we know what's happened to Harry. He's captured by the left, and they're going to use him and use his connections as long as it's worthwhile to them. As long as it's worthwhile to them. Meghan is captured by the left as well, but for a different reason, and they're using her in a different way. I think they discovered early on her talents, and interestingly, her associations through Soho House brought things a little too close to home, and she's a little volatile, and they had to get a control of her, because when those big names start swirling around, they got to protect their people. So Meghan has been put under control, given a lot of leeway, but put under control so that things like her association with Andrew and Epstein and other people doesn't come out, because they don't want those big names swirling around, and certainly not in association with Meghan, the Royal Family Association. So you see, they are agents of the left, agent provocateur. Harry is secret agent man. They're both patsies, and we know what happens to patsies. Just look what happened to Oswald. So, there you have it. That's my breakdown. That's what I think is going on. And it's not surprising, because when you look, for example, the World Economic Forum, which is behind all of this, they want to bring everything back to a feudal state. They want to restrict your rights of travel. They want to restrict your rights of ownership. They want to restrict your freedom of speech. Everything I've just mentioned are things being pushed by Prince Harry, Prince William, and indeed the King. That's right, William and Charles are both members of the World Economic Forum. In my opinion, they were brought in because of their views on conservation and so on, saving the planet, which is misguided anyway, but the King and the Prince of Wales, that's pretty heavy hitting to have those people involved in this worldwide agenda and pushing it. And from other videos I've done and from what we know the monarchy is a lot more powerful than they ever want you to believe, has a lot more influence than they ever want you to know. So having somebody like Charles and William captured by the agenda, patsies indeed themselves of the agenda. See, this is the way the elites do things. If you run both sides, doesn't matter what the outcome is, you're going to win either way. They've got the bad son Harry all hooked in, and they've got the king and the good son William all hooked in. To them it doesn't matter if the monarchy falls, if Harry fails, if William succeeds. None of that matters to them because they win either way. And that's why William and Charles are patsies to the agenda. And that's why we've got a sick little secret agent man out in California doing the bidding of these maniacs. Harry's in so deep he doesn't know what he's up to or what to think anymore. And that's the way they like it. That's the way they like it. Not only has Meghan controlled him for years, now he's got even more powerful controllers. So it's going to be real interesting to see how this all plays out. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and leave me a comment. I'd really like to know what you think about all of this. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.